Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am continuing my Swatch My Collection series and continuing with part 2 of Cuticula. So this is the remainder of my Cuticula collection. We have 11 polishes in this video. In the description box I will link Cuticula's site, I will link my Instagram page, and then I will list all of the polishes that are down there. Not all of these are going to be available still. Some of them are retired and then some of them were limited edition. We will be destashing as we go, so we have 11 Cuticula polishes to look at today, and let's go ahead and get started. So today we are starting out with Thin Ice. This is from the Frost and Wonderland collection that released in November of 2022. This one is a very light, very pale blue, but it does have these larger blue metallic flakes as well as a shifty shimmer. The formula on this is really good. It's actually way more opaque than I expected or remembered, and also I have this big nasty cut on my finger here, just ignore that. But I am very impressed with the coverage there in that first coat, and the shimmer is incredible. So here's our second coat of Thin Ice, and I do think that this brings us to full coverage. It does dry on the dull side of the spectrum as well as a little bit textured because of these flakes. So I am going to do a top coat over this, and then I don't think removal will be difficult because there's all flakes in here. As far as keeping it or not, it is really beautiful, and I do really love the contrasting blue flake as well as the shifty shimmer, but I just don't think it's a polish that I'm going to get a ton of use out of, so I do think I'm going to be destashing this one, but there are 2 coats of Thin Ice. So up next we have Bitter Chill. This one is also from the Frost and Wonderland collection, November 2022. This one is a kind of navy blue, not navy blue, but like a deeper than mid-tone blue, but not like super dark blue base. And then it's got these shifty, larger flakes as well as some holographic flakes. This one does have more of a jelly-like base, so it might end up needing 3 coats, but I also might be okay in 2, so we'll see. But there's our first coat. Here's our second coat of Bitter Chill. I do really like the amount of flakes that are in here. I feel like they add just enough to like know that they're there, but they're not overwhelming the polish. Like they're not the star of the polish. It's this really beautiful base color that is the star. I think I'm good here at just 2 coats, but I do think somebody else who had this polish would potentially need 3 if they're extra picky. All that being said, I really just don't find myself wearing blue nail polish all that often, so I think this is another one I can probably destash. So there are 2 coats. So up next here we have Open Door, and the bottom of this bottle says that it was the 2022 doorbuster polish for Black Friday. This one is a kind of pinky purple base, and it's loaded with these iridescent shifty flakes. It does cover pretty well here on this first coat, a little bit jelly, but I think it'll probably be just fine in 2. And the formula on this is really good as well. So there's our first coat. Here's our second coat, and it looks like this one's building up well in 2 coats. Again, I could see somebody wanting to do a 3rd coat, but I do think I'm going to destash this one. Purple is not a color I reach for often ever, so I don't see myself getting any use out of this. And while it is a very beautiful polish and I love the flakes that are in here, I feel like somebody else would probably appreciate it just a little bit more. It did dry on the dull side, so it is going to need some top coat again, and there's no glitter, so it should be easy to remove. But there are 2 coats of Open Door. Next up here we have Trend Sweater, and this one is a deeper kind of eggplant purple linear holographic. This is from the Fall for Hollow collection that released in October of 2022. And I know that I just said I don't reach for purple nail polishes, but this is one I could definitely see myself going for. So this is one that is staying in my collection. We were on a pretty good roll of destashing there in this video, but she's staying. I really like how this one looks. So there's our first coat. Here's our second coat of Trend Sweater, and this one does deepen significantly on that second coat, and it does cover completely as well. I did notice it dried more holographic than when it was wet. That is pretty typical of holographics. And then also a top coat will definitely help that holographic stand out as well. Nothing in this is going to dry textured or be difficult to remove. This hollow is an embedded element, so it's like becomes part of the polish instead of like a secondary ingredient, even though it is still an added component. But it's not going to dry textured or be difficult to remove. So there are 2 coats of Trend Sweater. Next up here we have Wings of a Queen, and this is from the Metamorphosis Trio that released in October of 2022. This one is a kind of dusty rose colored base, and then it's got these iridescent shifty flakes that she uses quite a bit, and then it's also got black matte flakes and white matte glitter. Formula is incredible. This is a stunning polish. Another one that is definitely staying in my collection here. It applies like a dream. So there's our first coat. Here's our second coat of Wings of a Queen. The first coat of this did dry down fully matte, so I will absolutely be using a glossy top coat to finish this off, but it does look like that pretty much covers completely in 2 coats as well. But again, I could see if you were extra picky wanting to go in for 3. Nothing in here really requires manipulation to move around. Some of these white glitters can be a little bit sparse, so they're kind of small though. You can't really fish them out, but you can strategically move them around to spread them out evenly across the nail. And since this is glitter, it is going to take some more scrubbing to remove, but this is so pretty, and there are 2 coats. Next up we have Snow Globe, and this one is from the Frost and Wonderland collection from November of 2022. I did look up the official description from the maker for this one because I was having a really hard time just looking at it, trying to figure out how to describe this one, because it's obviously white, but it's a very like unique white. But it's because of the shifty shimmer that's in here. It says from a green to a pink, so it really makes this white base just not like blaringly white, but still obviously white. And then it does have silver holographic flakes as well, but there's our first coat. Here's our second coat of Snow Globe, and this one, if I look really closely, I could probably make out just a hair of a nail line after 2 coats, but I don't think it's enough to warrant a 3rd coat. It does dry on the dull side, so again, I will absolutely need top coat. I wear top coat regardless, but for the sake of if you have this and you want to wear it, just bear in mind you probably will want top coat as well. This one is staying in my collection. I really love the shimmer that's in here. It makes this white base just so unique. And then the holographic flakes that are in here are absolutely stunning against the white base as well. It definitely screams winter to me, which I don't get a lot of in Florida, so I like to coordinate my nail polish to winter. But there are 2 coats of Snow Globe. Up next here we have Sunburst Carousel, and this is from the June 2022 polish pickup. This is a very sheer base. It's potentially meant to be a topper, but I am just going to show you 2 coats of it on its own just to kind of give the reference of what that would look like, but definitely can be used as a topper as well. This one is in a, again, sheer base, but it's like a shifty Aurora shimmer sheer base, but it does shift through like an oil slick of colors. And then it's got these larger Ultra Chrome Chameleon flakes. So there's our first coat. So here's our second coat of Sunburst Carousel. It really doesn't add that much coverage between 1 and 2 coats, so I'm definitely not going to go in for a third. If visible nail line bothers you, this one would probably serve best as a topper. I do think I'm going to go ahead and destash this one. It's just not something that I see myself reaching for. Again, a very beautiful polish, nothing wrong with it whatsoever. It's just not my style of polish. So there are 2 coats of Sunburst Carousel. Next up here we have Painted Lady, and this is also from the Metamorphosis Trio. This is a gray base, and it's absolutely jam-packed with flakes, and some of them are these matte black flakes, and the others are these iridescent flakes that are like gold. I really like this one. I kind of wish that I had swatched this last and just worn it for the weekend because this is absolutely breathtaking. So there's our first coat. Here's our second coat of Painted Lady, and that does cover completely in 2 coats. I don't know why I keep missing the tip of my first finger here. After looking at this, it looks like a stone, and I think it is just absolutely beautiful. This is also going to look really gorgeous with a matte top coat, which when I pull this out to wear it, because I do intend on doing that, I will probably wear it matte. This one is going to dry on the dull side, not glossy, not matte, but not totally finished looking, so I would recommend a top coat either way, and it seems as though removal will be easy because there's no glitter, but there are 2 coats. Next up we have Touchdown, and this one is a straight up football ball brown linear holographic. Also from the Fall for Hollow collection. This has a great formula per the usual of the Fall for Hollow polishes, and this one totally screams fall to me, so I really like it for that reason. Plus, I can only think of one other brown holographic polish in my collection. It just doesn't seem to be something that a lot of people do, so I have the first coat here. Here's our second coat of Touchdown, and this does cover completely in 2 coats. Just like the rest of the Fall for Hollow polishes, this is very holographic. Even in indoor lighting, I can see the hollow on my nails. Can't speak to how well my camera can pick it up, but it's very present on my nails, and it's going to dry more holographic than when it's wet. And then of course a top coat and being in the sun truly helps a hollow stand out to its fullest potential. I do think this is staying in my collection because, again, I can't recall a whole ton of brown holographics in my collection, but there are 2 coats of Touchdown. Up next, we have Coconut Milk Sorbet, and this one is just a white jelly cream polish. There's no added anything to it, just a jelly. I went a little bit thick there on that first coat, but it is a nice even jelly. You do have to kind of manipulate it a little bit to get it to spread out super evenly, especially if you do work in thinner coats. And then I'm also obviously swatching without a base coat, so I do have ridges in my nails, and it's going to show every little imperfection. I originally bought this one to go with the next polish that we'll look at, so I am going to use this one as a base for that polish. This is going to dry nice and glossy all on its own per the usual of jellies. So there is our first coat. Here's our second coat of Coconut Milk Sorbet. This is building up well in 2 coats. This is how I usually wear it. In fact, I usually use this one in jelly sandwiches. So I stop at 2 coats. I will add a glitter, and then I will finish off with another coat of this. And maybe I will show that today in a photo or a video. I'm not really sure. So I am going to stop at 2 coats. This one does dry glossy all on its own. It really can be used as like just a wash of color on the nail in one thin coat. But again, I do like to wear this one as a jelly, and I do plan on keeping this one in my collection. But there are 2 coats of Coconut Milk Sorbet. So up next we have Candy Crush, and this is the one that I bought with coconut milk sorbet because I really liked a color combination that I had seen on somebody else's manicure of these two, and it's still very beautiful to this day. This came out in, I want to say May of 2020, but it does seem like a whole lot of different dates, so I'm not 100% sure. I know that coconut milk came out in December of 2020, so I think they came out relatively close to each other. This one, you don't get a ton of these glitters. I'm kind of having to do like this scoopy method with it and like brush it off on the side of the neck of the bottle and then scoop out the excess flakes that are in here, just so I don't have too much base to glitter ratio, and then do a little bit of dabbing. But there is one coat of Candy Crush, and I'm going to show you a jelly sandwich probably on these two nails. Okay, and then here is that jelly sandwich, and the reason that I purchased these two polishes, and I still think this is absolutely beautiful. I don't know why, but it gets me every time. So Candy Crush, you are going to want some top coat. It is kind of like a glitter. It's a flake, but it really acts like a glitter. And then after adding this coat of coconut sorbet, you can see that the actual base itself is fully opaque. So there is Candy Crush and then coconut sorbet as a jelly sandwich. And guys, that is it. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of these polishes. Let me know what your favorite was from today's video. Let me know if there's a brand that you're interested in me continuing in next. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you'd like to see more from me, and I will talk to you again next time. Bye.